Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands. WNR378. It's WWE SummerSlam, but I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by Jaxie. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all well, thank you very much. Coming off hot of the heels of last weekend of the WNR live show with SummerSlam party with Ultimate One and yourself. The biggest show on the WNR podcast history. Like I said, over 50,000 listens in the end. It was quite incredible. How was your experience of the live show?
I mean, I've got to admit that was probably the most fun I've had discussing a WWE event, if that makes sense. It was just really nice to get kind of different points of views, and to kind of get a chance to discuss in a lot more detail about the talent themselves rather than just on the matches that we review. So it was really nice to kind of speak beforehand.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was a really great show, and like everybody I've heard from with emails and everything like that, really, really enjoyed it. We did have a couple of things about asking questions when we were going to look at Raw and Smackdown. Of course, we're going to get that done today. We finished New Japan with the Ultimate One, and of course NXT UK with Monty. And also another thing announced on the charity Little Princess Trust. I said that if we had with 2 months, if we could raise £200, then I would cut my hair. And everybody listening, in 6 days, we raised that amount, which is just incredible.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I'd just like to thank
amazing.
Everybody.
Well done, everyone.
Well, it is, and what I'm doing is we're going to extend it, because like I said, we were going to cut my hair at the Halloween special. That is definitely happening now. Like I said, big grown my hair for like 7 that's going to...
How exciting.
And the more money we raise, I will... Like I've said this now, I will take the beard off. I do not mind being clean
Wow, that's a big commitment right there.
Yeah,
come on, guys, we got to keep going with this.
So you can find it on Facebook, Little Princess Trust. It's a great little charity, basically. Like I said, donate your hair for a chance for kids to make wigs and stuff like this as well. So go and check that out on Facebook. But we're going to get started now, and it's a Raw and Smackdown since Money in the Bank. And the last time we left it was July 23rd, and we're in Cleveland and Rolling Loud. We see John Cena start the show only for Paul Heyman to come out and said the Tribal Chief does things on his own time. And Paul Heyman with the rendition of John Cena's theme tune as well, of course. Then we see Balor beat Zayn after his return last week. Big E, Apollo, Aziz, Naka, Boogs, Dirty Dogs and Cesaro all brawled. We see Dawkins beat Gable. And of course in Rolling Loud, I think the setting was ace. It was like something WCW used to do. Obviously the match wasn't great, but the ring angle looked really good. And we see Belair beat Carmella again in a decent match. Bianca celebrating in front of a sea of fans, who I'm sure were chanting, "We want puppies," but the Attitude Era was so cool. What were your thoughts? I know it's quite a long time ago now, of the Rolling Loud, the setting itself, and the actual crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought that it was a pretty good setup. I think that overall, like kind of like as a whole of the show, I think that there was too much going on. So it was really hard to kind of feel like there was anything remotely that stood out. But I think like the aspect of it every now and again, yeah, I think that's quite nice to be able to kind of, put on something quite literally live. So it was a nice attempt.
Nice change of the pace. We'll see if it happens for him. We saw Baron Corbin has nothing and apologised to Owens, who gave him some money. Unfortunately, Shotzi's tank hit him right in the balls, and the Dirty Dogs took the cash. And then Edge made his way in the ring in Cleveland, talking about his loss to Roman Reigns. He reminded the audience that he was in the Brood and the Ministry of Darkness, insinuating the lengths he was willing to go to avenge Seth Rollins, costing him the championship. Rollins made his way to the ring and took exception to the likes of Edge and John Cena jumping the line and taking opportunities. Nothing would make you happier than to crush your dreams. And Rollins admitted to hesitate to put Edge down out forever 7 years ago, especially would not blink at the opportunity to do it again. Edge admitted his alarm when he said he wouldn't put his hands on the Architect, and he attacked him, and Rollins retreated before the rated R superstar could deliver a spear. This was great stuff. I mean, Rollins and Edge, to start off their feud with this angle was really well done.
Yeah, I think that it took, Rollins a while to kind of come around with this sort of new character that he's uh, going with. But I really think that this beginning of the feud was just kind of excellent. It was really well done. Both men are great on the mic and just really you can get behind like both the words that both of them are saying. Like you truly believe that Seth Rollins really thinks he's God's gift, and that's what he's trying to give off, you know. So this was all exciting for me.
Well, we see Toni Storm debut and squash Zelina Vega. What the hell has happened to Toni Storm since then? Even reading these notes back, you're going, she did debut, you're right.
But, I mean, I completely forgot until you just actually reminded me then that she's actually on SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, she came up.
And that's not even meant to be an insult.
No, she's not been on. Then get Dom v Jimmy, and then Jimmy scored a roll-up with the assist from Jay for the win. Shay's had a finish for Money in the Bank. And then Reigns addressed the challenge from John Cena made on Raw. He mocked Cena, saying Hollywood fooled him because that guy that's back now is the same guy I've been watching for the last 15 years. He denied Cena's challenge, which brought out Finn Balor, and Balor issued a challenge of his own. The show ended on a cliffhanger with no date immediately announced for the impending match. Again, this was in because obviously we see John Cena come back and then Balor popping up. Did this cause any confusion with you, or did you think, oh, this is just prolong the Cena Reigns match by putting Balor in?
Yeah, I think that that was like kind of my very thought when watching this part, and there was just a part of me that was actually just kind of feeling like a little bit like annoyed by this because if I just kind of realized, you know, you bring the likes of Finn Balor back, but then like you're kind of putting him into a feud that we all know is going to be very irrelevant for him in a short while. You know, I didn't really, I kind of already saw him as like sort of the middleman that will just keep us distracted until we finally got the Roman versus John Cena match, you know?
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I think with SmackDown you're going, okay, maybe I was expecting a little bit more, but not a bad show.
Well, it's just more the case of like, you know, for the likes of, you know, any long-term wrestling fans would know that, you know, you brought Finn Balor up to the main roster, took him back down to NXT, you brought him straight back up to like kind of already be thrown into like a universal title picture with Roman. Yeah, like then you have the likes of John Cena coming back, who's also looking at into, you know, so like you can't help but just think, well, where are things meant to be going with Finn Balor right now?
It would be interesting to see. Right, I'm going to try and do Raw as quick as possible. July 26th, we see the new Raw Women's Champ Nikki Ash start the show, and soon was joined by Charlotte and Ripley, and a SummerSlam triple threat was made, and Charlotte Nikki for later. Sheamus faced Priest next. Bad Bunny's friends eventually hit his finisher for the pin. AJ Styles and Omos beat the Viking Raiders again in a good match, but they need more challengers. McIntyre Jinder feud continued. Drew facing Veer ended in DQ, but Jinder added a solicitor to his team. I just think if it was the late 80s or early 90s, the solicitor might have been an actual wrestler's name. It's not too bad. We get Eva Marie and Doudrop versus Natalya and Tamina. We get a video from Lily and Alexa Bliss play to distract Eva, allowing Tamina to nail her with a super kick for the pin. Natalya appeared to need help getting to the back after the match, in the injury in this one. Keith Lee faced Karrion Kross in the Battle of the Losers. These two faced each other for NXT title takeover 30, and this match had the same result. What was the point of bringing Lee back? Mansoor and Ali put their new team to the test against Mason T-Bar. Former Retribution pens come up short as Mansoor got the pin. And then Lashley and MVP came out so the WWE Champion could respond to the challenge issued by Goldberg. Lashley said he refused to dignify Goldberg's challenge with response. This brought out Cedric Alexander and Benjamin. Bobby agreed to fight him at the time. He then destroyed him, got back to his feet, hit Benjamin with Goldberg's signature jackhammer for Slam Alexander on top of him for the pin. And in the next match, Morrison beat Riddle thanks to the tag champs. And in the main event, Charlotte beat Nikki Ash. Is there anything there that interests you at all?
Not really. Not really. And I'm not going to, you know, you're just updating me on Raw because I have given up watching. Trying to that. I usually tend to watch sort of like a review on what went down like the day after.
Well, we'll move on to SmackDown, July 30th. Cena started the show again, calling Reigns a coward. Corbin came out and eating AA. Ray beat Jimmy with the help of Dom. Ray did call the son a rookie, wondering if this was the start of something. And then the boss made a much anticipated return, saving Belair when Vega and Carmella interrupted and stood tall alongside the rest of the opponent. Of course, cards subject to change, so with the Sasha Banks and Belair build, I'm kind of just giving you the notes rather than going into massive detail about it. Because, of course, we're going to go back with a match. Reginald came out as an American. It must be tough for Reginald to come out as an American. His match with Gable ended in DQ. And then Reigns and Balor made their way to the ring for a special contract signing ahead of their SummerSlam match. Baron Corbin attacked out of nowhere just when it appeared, though, that he would sign the dotted line. Cena rushed to the ring, laid him out, and signed the contract. And after the break, Paul Heyman questioned the validity of what just witnessed, only for Deville and Pierce to officially announce Cena v Reigns for SummerSlam. So this is how they did it. What were your thoughts on Cena signing Balor's contract?
I wasn't too pleased with how things went. This is exactly what I was actually talking about when Finn sort of first kind of came into the picture, that I didn't know where we were going with him. And I just thought it was just really like underwhelming. You had so much going on in that whole section. And like the main thing I took away from it is that Finn Balor got screwed over by everyone. Finn Balor got screwed over by Baron Corbin. He got screwed over by John Cena. He ultimately got screwed over by Roman Reigns, who didn't stop John Cena from signing his contract. And as a result, like, none of the people, aka like Adam Pearce or Sonya, told Cena that's like invalid, like he can't do that, like the intention was Finn. So I just really, again, have no idea what things are meant to be going for Finn. I'm at a loss, and I'm gutted about that because I think he's actually a really great talent.
I've had some stick about Balor in the past where I'm saying that he would make a great Intercontinental Champion, and people think he's main event. And like I say, he has talent in certain ways, but I just think a mid-card run, I think for the amount of time he's been there, if he was a true main event talent, he would be at the top. And I think we've seen it with people like Dolph Ziggler in the past, you know, when they kind of suffer an injury or miss a bit of time, and the kind of that confidence is lost near enough forever, you know, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah. But just a run of consistency on the main roster. I could
see him as an Intercontinental champion, and I think he could actually elevate that belt. So, I mean, I wouldn't even mind seeing him in that run, but it's just like, I just question like a lot of their choices on the way they've brought him back, because it's like he's not making as big an impact as we all know he can, because he's kind of just been put in as the distraction, kind of the third wheel of the main title picture, which I don't think was necessary.
No, not at all. Big E, Cesaro and King Nakamura battled Ziggler, Rude and IC champ Cruz. The faces won when Naka rolled up Cruz. Edge made his way to the ring, only to be jumped in the aisle during a commercial break. So the best thing of the show we didn't get to see because it was an ad break. Rollins stood tall in a centre square circle. He said, "If I can't be Universal Champion, neither can Edge," said Rollins. And like he said, for me, this is the real mate of SummerSlam so far because of the fire of both men. And Rollins, if it wasn't for Reigns not being there, Rollins would be talked about so much because he's working so well since WrestleMania. When you where Cesaro and he were, and Rollins is kind of on all the way up, and Cesaro, well, that's another conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to Seth, I think he does his best work when he's in like a heel type persona, and this again is yet again another pairing that just works really well. I think him and Cesaro did amazing at WrestleMania. It is a shame that they kind of dropped the ball with Cesaro, and I don't really know what's in the store for the future for him, but with Rollins they're definitely getting it right.
Well, in the main event of SmackDown, we see Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks beating Zelina Vega and Carmella, the boss tapping out Carmella. After the match, Banks left her laying. Now, I know it changed, but just at this point, because we've talked about Banks and Belair, of course, WrestleMania, we talked about the build-up. At this point here, you're thinking they're building towards one of the greatest moments at SummerSlam as well, because we need Banks as a heel and Belair as a face at this moment.
Definitely. I mean, especially with how the women's roster has been perceived as of late. These are two women that really stand out in a great and iconic way. They work well together, and I think like the anticipation was there for that rematch. Everyone wanted that rematch since WrestleMania.
I think we're out of doubt. And again, I'm going to try and do Raw as quickly as possible as well. So it's the 2nd of August, and
update me.
We get Goldberg challenging Lashley. After the Hall of Famer left, Lashley got in his son's face at ringside. MVP talked some trash to his son before Goldberg came back to hit a spear on MVP. The Chicago crowd, so CM Punk chants, but we want Wyatt as well. WWE turned the volume down on the crowd. As Veer and Shanky versus Drew McIntyre ended a DQ. Pointless. Ripley beat Jax in a fun match. Now getting busted open shows they were laying it in. In a tag rematch from last week, Mansoor and Ali took on Mason T-Bar. T-Bar kicked Mansoor in the ropes and caused Ali to lose balance. This allowed the two powerhouses to score the win. Charlotte, We Want Becky Flair gave an awful promo. Tamina beat Doudrop and Natalya Not Lair and Bliss Bricks. Miz TV led to Priest beating Morrison in singles and tag match with Morrison and Sheamus losing to Priest and Ricochet. Omos beat Riddle, bro. Cross lost again, but the victor Keith Lee is no longer getting buried, so that's good. I can't wait for Jeff Hardy to finish the isolation so he can beat both of them. Reggie beat Tozawa, and the main event was the best match of the night. Nikki Ash beat Charlotte. Nice powerbomb for the announce table from Flair. Charlotte speared the table and got hit with a swinging net break for the clean loss. Not actually a bad main event there, you know.
Well, I'm just glad to hear it's two women in the main event. It's nice to see.
That's one thing Raw is getting, I don't say getting right, but the placement of the women, you're going to get 4 or 5 segments as opposed to kind of just like the one throwaway match sometimes. And I'm not, again, not having to go AEW there. SmackDown, July. Sasha Banks kicked off this week's episode of SmackDown. She told Banks she would see her at SummerSlam, and that's for Vega. They got a match for the women's title tonight. I think Vega is just there to be shouted at. Up next, Dom versus Jay. Dom was supposed to win the match.
But I don't think it needs. I don't think it needs to be her. That is constantly getting squashed here. Again, that there's other women that they're still not using on that roster. Like we talked about in the previous episode. Where's Toni Storm? I just think that right now it feels like Zelina Vega has just returned to become a jobber, and I think that she could be more than that.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It seems like the only women they've got is Carmella and Zelina Vega at this moment, where that's just not true. Like I said, Dom was supposed to win the match, but Ray was intercepted by Jimmy. The distraction allowed Jay to recover, deliver top rope splash, scored a pinfall victory. And this told a certain story, I suppose. Nakamura defeated Cruz via disqualification. I feel a bit sorry for Cruz. I think they've forgotten that he's IC champion. Big E reminded Heyman, who was Money in the Bank. Knox defeated Tamina. The crowd was back to normal quiet during matches now. I wonder how long it would take after they came back. Edge made his way to the ring. And then Rollins appeared via satellite. He laughed off Edge's threats and told him he'd think about his challenge for a match at SummerSlam. The Street Profits returned to defeat the Dogs in a quick match. The Frog Splash, though, is just wow. You know, I've seen many of Frog Splash, but
I swear Montez Ford is the only one that can try and like outdo his own record on height.
it is something else. Blair beat Vega in the championship contender match. So not enough talent to do number one contenderships. You have to have a championship. And then the main event, Balor versus Corbin. The Balor winning with a coup de grace. After the match, he called John Cena. So they go through him for him to get the Universal title. This brought out Roman Reigns, which Balor. The Usos jumped him, but Balor fought back, wiping out the tag team champions down in Reigns with a sling blade. The Usos recovered though and joined the Tribal Chief for a beatdown. That included Reigns applied a guillotine choke and standing tall to close out the show. Finn looked really good. It's a shame they chanted Cena when Balor was getting his shit kicked it out of him, you know.
Again, that is just kind of the point I've been making kind of from the beginning, that I just feel like he was put in there pointlessly and just like is a forgotten character. Is a shame because I think Finn Balor could give more, but maybe they shouldn't have like injected him in between this feud.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens. To Raw, August 9th. Autumn returns, started the show and set up the main event. Jinder paid Corbin to face Drew. Corbin said he wanted $100,000 and Mcadam laughed and hit him with a Claymore. Drew actually looked good and a positive reaction. Cross beat Jeff Hardy. Why have him lose a couple of weeks ago then? Bliss beat Doudrop. Lily the Doll winked at Doudrop and scared her enough to allow Bliss to get the win with a quick roll-up. Yes, I just said that. We want Wyatt chance as well. Everything wrong with Raw right there. The CGI doll, the chance of some other wrestler. It
was a CGI doll.
Yeah, like you said, CGI doll. Winking at Doudrop. Unbelievable stuff. Sheamus beat Ricochet in a banger. That's true. Priest is next in line. He faced Morrison for the full this year. Jomo went down, but Miz has recovered now. T-Bar beat Ali, and a word with Bobby. MVP said loads of. He implored Gage he can get into his dad to retire. He's not next. He's done. Nikki Ashbury Ripley ended in DQ thanks to Charlotte. Take a shot every time Charlotte takes her heels off to attack someone. WWE stood for Walk with Elias, but Elias is dead. And Orton v AJ was a main event. Huge RKO. Styles jumped off the top rope to get the pin. Orton ended up hitting Riddle with the RKO after pretending to hug him. To be fair, the whole night was based around RK Bro, and the fans were happy. This was kind of good stuff, I suppose, told the story. I know Riddle got hit with the RKO, and it just shows you can't trust Orton. But what were your thoughts on Elias? Because we've talked about the jobber before. Is him killing the only thing that kind of popular a good idea?
I mean, what do you mean by that? Because you're going to have to update me because I don't watch Raw. So how did he kill off his character?
Elias is dead. He sings no more. The Elias you knew he buried him, basically.
What, himself?
Yeah, there's a tombstone, Elias, 2017, 2021. He goes to the Elias you knew.
There was actually a tombstone. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he actually buried himself.
Okay, so we're going for the full dramatics of him being dead.
Yes, that character is now dead.
I mean, I must admit, I'm intrigued now to see, like, what type of character he's going to come back with then. So I'll leave myself open for judgment for the moment.
We'll talk about scary things. Friday the 13th, and it's SmackDown. And Cena started the show and issued a grade of D to Reigns, labelling him a disappointment. He also acknowledged the head of the table beat the hell out of him at SummerSlam, but will still lose. Reigns interrupted. Cena called Reigns had been pushed by W through failure after failure. He said W asked him to come back and offer the champion some humble pie. Reigns said he thought it would be something fresh to see this act. Reigns mockingly hyped Cena's resume, bringing up the breakup of Nikki Bella. Cena returned fire, mentioned the protection Reigns as a joy from W system, and suggested he ruined Seth Rollins and ran off Dean Ambrose. He ended the segment by suggesting he might take the Universal Championship and leave. It might even blow a kiss as he does it, embarrassing the Tribal Chief in a way he never been. I thought this was a great back and forth between the two. We got CM Punk reference, we got John Moxley reference. What more do we need?
Honestly, I think this was like the best sort of back and forth between John and Roman that I've seen. Each one of them was just going in for the burn. You got like the Nikki Bella reference, which is just never going to go away for John Cena. It really isn't. I mean, then you get the Dean Ambrose drop in. Like WWE are kind of like stopping this whole we're not going to acknowledge the other side when it's clear and evident that AEW do acknowledge some of the stuff that goes on in WWE. So to kind of see this sort of like natural banter between these two just cover each other, it was actually really nice. It felt very real.
I think without a doubt, and I think I read into it as well as that they didn't see each other beforehand, didn't know what they were going to say. So, and Vince McMahon loved it, and it just showed two guys, at their best. We've seen Cena and Reigns head-to-head first, but of course this is a different Roman. And I think the kind of confidence oozed for him as well is unbelievable. Well, the Intercontinental title was next. Cruz versus Nakamura. Cruz went for a 50 splash but missed. He recovered and dodged the Kinshasa, but moments later, the Undisputed King delivered his finisher and scored his second Intercontinental title reign. After the match, the new champ Boogs and commentator Pat McAfee celebrated. Cruz held the title for over 100 days. And the question is, did it actually help when you think was positioned in the card?
Overall, when you look at his whole run, I don't. However, I think that if his run as Intercontinental Champion had started during the crowd already being back, I think that he would. There would be a lot more reception around him, and I think that's a shame. But I also think that Apollo Crews is the type of person that really doesn't need someone like General Aziz. I think that takes away from his character. I think he could be an excellent heel without having like that additional help, just a decent heel. But I just don't think he's been given the right sort of story to kind of allow the character that I can probably envision for him to come like truly to light and be accepted.
Yeah,
so there's a bit more work to the character that needs to happen, and I think that the start of it should be losing General Aziz. But that's just my honest opinion.
Well, I listened to Bobby Lashley with Stone Cold of Broken Skull Sessions. Bobby talks about wanting Apollo Crews in the Hurt business because he just seemed a bit too nice, and he wanted to kind of, make him into that heel. And I think that would maybe be the perfect fit, because what Crews can do in the ring is amazing. I think, like I said, sometimes might be too nice, and with the kind of heavy that he's got now with this storyline, maybe something a little bit different, but still a great pop for Nakamura.
I agree.
Winning. The Street
Profits, definitely. I think Nakamura is definitely someone who I could see going eventually into a actual main title run. But I think that he's just like, now that the crowd's back, we should keep running with him. Now that he's champion, keep building him. I think that's the best option they should go with, considering they screwed that up when they had him win the Royal Rumble and then got squashed by AJ. So, this could be a good eventual build-up towards a main title run.
Without doubt. Well, the Street Profits defeated Alpha Academy. Two good teams, and I think Montez can actually fly. Rollins aired a video package that counteracted the Hall of Famer's statements and explained the Architect is better than his SummerSlam opponent. He vowed to make up for 2014 when he hesitated to end Edge at SummerSlam. The video was excellently made and featured Big Show and Rose Christian. This was just good shit about, Rollins counteracting. Again, it's that arsehole heel that he plays so well as well.
Yeah. And it's also kind of like a nice little hint of nostalgia at like what he has been like in the past.
Well, we get the Mysterios versus Ziggler and Rude. Jimmy and Jay appeared on the screen. They distracted Young Star, but an Alert Ray led his team to victory. Dom must stay humble. Corbin versus Owens. Money if he won. If he lost, never beg again. Owens delivered a stunner before, then roll-up scored a win. After the bout, he had another stunner, good measure. But Corbin stole the Money in the Bank briefcase from Big E and ran out of the building. Owens is just too good to be doing nothing, isn't he? We've talked about this in the past.
I mean, do you know what? If I'm truly honest, I would have actually been much happier if they'd swapped like sort of Finn Balor and Kevin Owens around. Like, Kevin Owens doesn't necessarily need a title, but like just even having him inserted in the Roman Reigns John Cena feud, I think would have like been a lot more efficient, in my opinion. And I think he should be used for so much more, and he's not. And it's a wonder why, because he's amazing.
Without a doubt, Then we see Sonya Deville prides over the contract signing between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Carmella and Vega came out. Like I said, they may be the only women in the division at the moment. I guess everyone's friends. Or go home shows. What did you think about Vega? Banks fighting last week.
I mean, can I actually just? I know, like, they're all of a sudden they're best friends. It's just really funny. But I do want to do is give a shout out to Zelina Vega, who came out, and she had sort of this. She came out as a character from Naruto. His name's Gaara, and he had like a Japanese tattoo of love above his eye, and she did that exact same one. So that's a little anime reference from Naruto, which I loved very much. So thank you for that, Zelina Vega.
That's cool. Well, we move on to Raw 16th August, like we said, the go-home show. Orton started the show again. He said he didn't need friends because he's a 14-time champion. He said he hit the RKO because he thought... Riddle said he thought he got hit by the RKO because he thought Orton wanted to hit it properly. Which actually, again, Riddle makes me laugh sometimes. And I think, you fucking idiot, but it got me. And then AJ and almost come out on the stage to taunt him. He told Riddle he's sick of him saying the word bro. And then AJ beat Riddle thanks to Omos in a really good opener. This is awesome chance for a bit much, though. I mean, for an opening match on Raw, it's just not awesome. Nikki Ash versus Ripley. Ray hit the Riptide for the clean win. And then the Queen taunted Nikki until almost superhero attacked her out of anger. She and Ripley took turns hitting her before throwing out the ring. I've talked about this before. Cross having an alter ego would be so good. But it feels like the same build every week since WrestleMania with Ripley and Charlotte. It's crazy. McIntyre easy dispatched Rhea and Shanky. Yes, the two big men. He just dusted them off, really. The first ever moist TV. Miz and Morrison arguing over injury. Priest arrived and pushed Miz into the kiddie pool. That was in the ring. They beat him in a match. Rhea broke it, sending a message to Sheamus. Priest, Miz, Morrison have been feuding since the Royal Rumble. It is crazy. Bliss versus Marie announced for SummerSlam. Doudrop was scared by Lily. I can't believe a doll replaced Bray Wyatt. When you think of...
I'm kind of glad that I don't have to really witness it, if I'm truly honest.
Mansoor beat Mace thanks to the underhand taxes by Ali. And then Omos and Orton ended in DQ. Riddle ran down to make the save. He sent Styles out the ring and kicked Omos off the apron. He helped Orton to his feet, and the Viper asked for a mic and said, Riddle earned his respect. RK Bro is back. And then Riddle again saying, you make me so happy, Randy. It actually made me laugh, and then he hugged it out. Cross destroyed Jeff, still no Scarlett. Elias is still... Nikki and Rhea lost to Jaxie and Charlotte twice. And then Goldberg came out to close the show with his confrontation with Lashley. He said MVP and Lashley keep bringing the son into it, so he officially introduced Gage Goldberg to the crowd. That's what we want, another son of a wrestler. The almighty music came out. Lashley's hype man said Goldberg used to be a man of action, but now all he did was talk because he's scared of WWE. And Goldberg told him to fuck off, and actually told him to fuck off, and then speared Lashley after he tried to take a cheap shot. So that was Raw's build up to SummerSlam. Absolutely awful. And then finally, SmackDown, August 20th, we get Edge coming out to the ring, accompanied by another superb video recap of his ongoing feud with Seth Rollins. He recapped the moment 7 years ago where Rollins had the opportunity to end him. He admitted that Rollins has taken him to a dark place, a place where blood runs black. He vowed to burn Rollins down in Las Vegas. We had Jay versus Ray next. Dominic tried to cheat on behalf of his farmer, but referee Charles Robson sent to the back. Distraction allowed Jay to deliver the top rope splash for the win. We've seen these teams too much. And another match we saw too much, Owens versus Corbin again. After fighting, Biggie's music came out, and he took the money briefcase only to be run into the ring post, and have the briefcase nicked again. Belair delivered an on-point promo. Shotzi and Nox defeated Natalya and Tamina. At least Natalya is back. And then Seth Rollins made his way to the ring, and we hear the Beru's music play. The arena became engulfed in red, and Edge appeared on the video screen. And beware, take care, because the freaks come out at night. You never see it coming. He warned before black blood spilled from the ceiling, coating Rollins and turning his wetsuit black. I apologise for talking so much, but there's so much just filler on Raw and SmackDown. What do you think of the black bloodbath on Seth Rollins? Because I thought this took the feud a different way.
I mean, to be honest, it really did give me very much nostalgia and very much thinking, right, okay, so this is definitely going to lead to that Edge kind of coming out very Gangrel, like Brood or something, building up towards that. But I actually really enjoyed it. It was something different. And, you know, I think if something like that had happened, like during like Alexa Bliss or with Lily and Doudrop and Eva Marie, I wouldn't have been impressed. But somehow Seth and Edge managed to make it work, you know?
I think you're right. I think for me, I wanted them to see, have a fight, but bringing the Brew thing, especially what happened at SummerSlam as well, I think it's all right. And, this is just the start of at least two guys I think going to feud for a little while now as well. And we'll finish that though. Otis versus Ford. Otis overwhelmed Ford with size and fury and finished off in short order with Vader Bomb. Boogs and Nakamura defeated Cruz and Aziz. Cruz jobbed again. Belair faced Vega, dispatched her with ease. Then Carmella faces Champ. This is kind of how to ruin any challenges, but Belair is getting better every week. And then we see Roman Reigns hit the ring to end the show, followed by John Cena, of course, to their final interaction. Cena kept going on the 2-3 is all he's going to take him. And Reigns up the stakes and vowing that if he can't beat Cena, he will quit the WWE. And one of these things, Reigns said he smashes people so bad, WWE don't have a use for them. Braun, Bray, Bryan, he is right. But Reigns leaving WWE wasn't needed. What were your thoughts on this last altercation?
I mean, I feel like their banter has been great, and I actually didn't think I was going to look forward to the match, but I was by the end of it. However, Reigns, coming out with a statement like that, no one truly believes he's going to leave, especially, we all know Vince has lost quite a few people. We also know, quite a few people are showing up in AEW where it could cause, issues for WWE. There's no way Vince would be actually allowing that to happen. So I just think it was quite unnecessary to put that in. No one truly believed that he'd be leaving. So it's kind of a guarantee that, Reigns would win it. Yeah, in my opinion.
This is when they do that, you go, oh, why just not leave it? Because then it removes all doubt for anybody who kind of knows. But we move on. August 21st, and it's SummerSlam kickoff. And Caleb Braxton hosted the show on the stadium floor with Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler, and Kevin Patrick with Pete Rosenberg. We see, obviously, all of the promo packages for the matches tonight. WWE Championship, SmackDown Women's Title. Sonya Deville joins the panel to talk about Belair versus Banks. We see The Miz and John Morrison were shown arriving at the stadium in Walter Truck with a SummerSlam logo on the side. And Mike Rome stood in the ring and Rain Cruz as a guest ring announcer. She won the TikTok contest. She did really well, actually. And our kickoff match was Big E versus Baron Corbin. And infuriated Big E dominated early, but Corbin sent him into the ring post, seizing control of the bout and closing in on a win that would give him so much needed momentum. Corbin down with deep six, cutting off any attempt at a comeback. Corbin attempted to run off the briefcase, but recovered Big E, bowled him over at ringside. He added a spear through the ropes and followed the big ending for the pinfall victory. Big E retrieved his briefcase following the match as Logan Paul looked on. And the mere camera shot of him drawing boos from the Las Vegas fans. What were your thoughts on this kickoff match?
I mean, to be honest, I would have put Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie on the kickoff, and I would have had this one on the main event. And that's just my opinion. But I actually thought that this was...
Yeah, I thought this was really, really good. One of the things I found funny was Pat and Cole explaining how ridiculous steering case would be, because of course you can't steal a briefcase. I guess it's not like signing someone else's contract, because that would just be crazy, right? I mean, they didn't announce the match like most kickoffs, but it did carry on the story with Corbin. No Balor anyway, but two solid talents. Both could be in for big ends of 2021, do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, potentially, yeah. It feels like it could be going that way.
It's going to be interesting to see. What are you going to score out of 5?
I'll give that like a 3.
3. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Yeah.
I think 3.5 for me, because it's just really, really strong stuff. Then we see the panel run through the pay-per-view lineup. Then the video package on Reigns versus Cena. And we move on to SummerSlam. So what was your excitement level for the event and the match you were most looking forward to just before SummerSlam started?
I mean, the match I was definitely looking forward to was definitely Seth versus Edge. That was my most anticipated match. I think the excitement level for me was actually quite heightened, and I think that is because of our watch party just before, sort of the build up towards it, and just having like great discussions about it and stuff. So I was really intrigued and excited to be looking to start it and see what came out of it.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, and the setting as well. Being in the stadium made it feel like WrestleMania, and there's a kind of general excitement before you're thinking, God, the way the cards laid out tonight, like we talk about, the main event was going to be good. Edge and Rollins, of course, Belair and Banks as well, and you're thinking this has really got a chance,
Definitely.
Well, the opening promo was just standard WWE stuff. I miss the special openings they used to have. And the first match on the main card was the Raw Tag Team Championship, RK Bro versus the AJ Styles and Omos. And Riddle led an early onslaught, frustrating Styles. The former world champion low down the original Bro and worked him over in the corner of the ring. Riddle mentally created separation, made a hot tag to Orton, who unloaded clotheslines and a big back body drop. He set up for the RKO, but an alert Omos pulled Styles to safety. Riddle wiped the big man out on the floor, and the phenomenal returned the favour. Back inside the ring, a brief back and forth gave way to the RKO by Orton, and the first title switch of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, your new Raw Tag Team Champions, RK Bro. What were your thoughts on
I thought it was decent. I can't get into Randy Orton's, what is it, like a sort of mustache and beard sort of thing. I really don't understand it. I'm finding it really a major distraction, if I'm truly honest. But I mean, I didn't mind the title switch. Don't get me wrong, I like AJ and Omos, but I think that AJ needs to go back to being a single superstar at some point. And so, now was the time really to kind of switch. RK Bro has got a lot of heat and a lot of traction, so why not take full advantage of that,
I thought it was a really fun opener. Omos protected usually means the split is coming. We wonder what more Omos and Styles can do. But then Styles can do. But then again, they've got no challenges at this moment in time. I'm going to give that a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, I quite enjoyed the opener.
Yeah, I'd agree, and probably give it 3.5 as well.
Prediction-wise, select match pod challenged us. So on the live show, we split into teams ourselves. I'm with Monty. Jaxie, you got the ultimate one. Jaxie and Select Match Pod went for the Hills in that one. And of course, Monty and JR went for new tag team champions. So it is 1-0 to start. Poll-wise, RK Bro with 76% of the vote. Up next, I'll do this as quick as possible. Bliss versus Eva Marie. The pink-haired heel made a mistake of slapping Lily, then used a doll to smack Bliss, drawing in a passionate and furious response from the former Raw Women's Champion. Bliss shock of an earful by Marie and scored the win off a spike DDT. Doudrop, amused by Eva's loss, grabbed the mic and announced her associate as a loser of the match. What were your thoughts?
This was actually torture. This shouldn't have ever happened. This match was awful.
Well, I don't think
everything about it.
It wasn't terrible, but whatever the next level up from
it was
that
awful.
is.
I'm sorry, but please explain to me how anyone really believes that Eva Marie has been really working hard to wrestle. There was no wrestling involved in this match. It was just not needed. So I just don't have much to say on it because I didn't enjoy it.
I mean, for me, this was we knew what it was going to be like. Like I said, it wasn't terrible, but wherever the next level up from terrible is, this was that. Because still, Bliss is very, very talented. This was over before it began. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. What are you going to score it?
Yeah, I'll give it a 1.
And we all
I'm being really nice.
Yeah, no, like I said, but for me...
I could have given it a 0, so at least I'm giving it a 1.
I count Penelope Ford and Eva Marie in the same boat, So it's like talent like that, maybe. We'll see what happens there. All went Bliss, so 2-1. Poll-wise, Bliss 93% of the vote. And then we see Slater interviewing RK Bro. Of course, Slater takes you back to Sabre LaBelle. And he said
Seriously,
WWF.
doesn't age. He doesn't age.
Well, he did say WWF, but he's just annoyed that his dog ate all his homework last night. Anyway, we move on. United States Championship match, Damien Priest versus Sheamus. Scary dive to the floor adversely affected the challenger, who appeared to be nursing his hip immediately afterwards. Sheamus sending him back first in the steel post help. And as Celtic Warriors wrest control the match from the Archer in Infi. Priest fought back, taking flight with a perfectly executed heel kick from the top rope. Sheamus answered with Alabama slam. Sheamus added a bro kick, catching Priest mid-flight, but the resilient challenger again kicked out at 2. Priest survived a heel hook, ripping the face bust of Sheamus to force a break. He delivered a big kick that rocked the champion and finished with the reckoning for the win and the championship. Ladies and gentlemen, your new United States champion, Damien Priest. What were your thoughts on this?
I thought it was a good match overall. I think both men, just showed off exactly what they can do. I really enjoy Sheamus. I think that, I hope that just because of this loss, he doesn't look to it like they don't look to forget about it because I think he's actually brilliant. But I mean, I'm kind of intrigued to see where they're going to go with Damien Priest on this. I'm hoping that because now that he's got this title, there's going to be no more sort of him feuding with Miz and Morrison all the time. I'm hoping that this will kind of open him up to other matches with other wrestlers. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Priest coming up short with that dive to the outside is a bit of a scary moment. But a great kick out after that brogue knee as well. And it kind of really got into it toward the end. I'm going to give that a 3 and 3.5 because I thought both men really delivered.
Yeah. I'll give that like a 3.5.
And then prediction-wise, well, Jaxie and Select Match Pod went Sheamus. We went for Damien Priest, so we take a 3-1-1 lead. Priest got 65% of the vote there. Then the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, the Mysterios versus the Usos. And the challengers started hot, taking the fight to the champions and frustrating them early. The Usos slowed the pace though and isolated Dominic from his dad as they established dominant. Hot tag to Ray Spark, the babyface comeback as the greatest underdog in WWE unloaded on the opposition. A super kick from Jimmy stunned the former world champion, another in mid-flight. This one by Jay led to the top rope splash for a dramatic near fall. On the apron, Jay delivered a front suplex on the ring apron, eliminated Dominic from the proceedings. A double suplex to Ray and a top rope splash by Jay served their title reigns. What were your thoughts on this?
I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. I thought all four men worked really well together, and I do love the Usos. I'm glad that they remain champions, but I do feel like there's more for them to be able to do as champions. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I said, this was a really, really fun match. Quality near falls as well, but I think the heels stalled for ages and Ray took a lot of punishment, but nice finish. I'm going to give that 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll give that. I'm going to give it a 3.75.
3 3/4. Prediction wise, all went Usos, so it's 4-2-2. Poll wise, Usos 58% of the vote, and then we find out 2K is delayed till March next year. I just cannot wait to play as none of my favourite characters on the game. It's going to be brilliant when it happens. What are your thoughts? Are you a 2K fan, or after what happened at 2K20, do you give up?
So I never bought 2K20, and I'm glad I didn't. And I'm not going to buy the next one until I see reviews and see what people think about it. I'm really hesitant on their games at the moment. So, maybe this delay actually is for a good thing and it will make the game better. But I'm going to wait and wait for some reviews on it before I think about getting it myself.
Yeah, I think without doubt. Well, we get Tiffany Haddish. She called Priest the national champion, which I guess is cool. And then SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair hit the ring for a match with Sasha Banks. Only find out the boss would not be competing on a night. Instead, Carmella was introduced as the new challenger. Fucking WWE give us Carmella as Banks' replacement, but then the man comes around. Becky Lynch made a long-awaited return to a thunderous ovation, joining the EST and her opponent in a square circle. Lynch dispatched Carmella and issued a challenge to Blair for a championship match. The EST accepted, and seconds later she fell prey to a manhandle slam, and Lynch captured the title after a single move. Leave this with you. Go on.
Okay. Let's just real talk here right now, okay? Because we all know that I'm about to upset some fans here. I am a Becky Lynch fan, okay? But I was not a fan of any of this. I know that WWE at this point were resorting to despotism when it comes to someone else turning up like the night before at a different venue. However, this was not the way to go about bringing Becky Lynch back into the title picture and to do what she did to Bianca Belair. I'm not a huge fan of it. We witnessed this before with Brock Lesnar versus Kofi. I got no respect for that type of thing to happen when it's like constantly happening to persons of color. That is my honest opinion. I might make some haters from that, but you know what? That's the way things go. Like, you know, you should still have some form of respect. And Bianca was doing extremely well. I don't think that Becky needed to have to be handed the title the second she got back. She walked in there, demanded like an opportunity as if she deserves to be like at the top of the food chain. It kind of reminded me of like how, you know, when Ronda Rousey first came into WWE and was just kind of handed the title picture. And it's the same with Charlotte Flair whenever she returns from time off or an injury or something like that. She's just placed, the belt is just placed instantly back on her. But this squash was just terrible in my opinion and unnecessary.
There was so many ways around it. Even if they want to do a squash, then have Carmella or Vega, who had been the thorn in Belair's side recently, cause a distraction at the bell so Lynch can just roll up and move rather than kind of Belair walking into it, if that's what you want to do.
Exactly. At least leaving Bianca looking strong. Like, you know, taking her out with just one move. I think, how can you do that to someone who actually lifted up the likes of Otis? Like, you know, that's just absolutely fucking ridiculous in my opinion. And so, yeah, I'm just going to tell you now, it's a 0 for me. It gets a 0.
The thing is like you said, there's something seriously wrong about treating talent where it's, and I read this the other day, I thought it was quite interesting. It's WWE are looking for moments now. They don't care about matches or overall story. It's just moments. Your 30-second, minute clip you can play on Twitter, social media age as it is. And a Lynch return and winning in 30 seconds is a much better clip than them having a 15-20 minute match. I hope I'm wrong about it, but when you see other things that's happened, you just think, yeah, that's a YouTube clip, and that's kind of what they want. The thing is,
this is the only they were looking for, but it just does nothing for the talent. And if anything, it just goes to start burying them, and then you worry that they won't recover from those moments. You know, so it was just unnecessary, in my opinion.
Well, even have a 10-15 minute match with cutting idiots backstage and the skits, and give us something like that. Or even, the thing is, talk about distractions. Have a match, even if it's 5 minutes, and play Sasha Banks' theme music. You get reaction.
Yeah.
Blair looks around. There's so many different ways. Tell us Banks wasn't there, and then the excitement on Friday of who's Blair opponent. Oh, we think it's Lynch, and then the payoff for that will be even more. Look what happened, like you said, with CM Punk on Friday.
Exactly, and do you know what? You are actually right. I didn't even make a comment on that, but I think the continuous false advertisement of it being advertised as Belair versus Sasha, just to find out literally the moment Belair is in the ring, it goes to piss fans off, and I know that WWE like to do that often, but I just think it was extremely unnecessary with you then going ahead and then bringing Becky Lynch back in the way you did, and then just squash Belair. Like, at least give us that momentum of, oh, Sasha Banks is no longer able to be there. Who's it going to be? Give us that speculation so that when it is Becky Lynch, that's the pop that we'd get. That's your YouTube moment, rather than squashing someone within that you've been building up since Becky's been off, doing her own thing, rightly so as well. You've just completely squashed this person, and I don't understand, what your purpose of that was if you know they're going to be a future champion again.
It's the exact opposite, like we said, of what happened on Friday. With the, because I was saying, well, if AEW don't deliver, they're disgusting, and WWE didn't deliver. They knew they weren't going to deliver, and they still kind of went this way as well. Like I said, you're going to give it 0. I'll give it a 1, just because of Becky Lynch's reaction beforehand. Prediction wise, you and I went Belair. Select Match Pod went Banks, so it's still 4-2-2. Belair 50%. And then a match I completely forgotten about. Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal next. And we see the modern day Maharaja down McIntyre, working him over in the centre ring. He cut him down to size, spent the use of his legs to power a comeback. But the former WWE champ did fight back low and ultimately put Mahal away with a claymore before Shanky and Veer collected their vanquished leader. I actually made no notes of this live, which tells you something of how pissed off I must have been after what we just seen. And looking back on it now, it could have been on Raw. And no decapitation, Monty, so we didn't get what you wanted. As for the match itself, I mean, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, as you rightly said, I feel like this was just kind of a filler match that was just placed there to kind of, maybe just kind of leave people reeling after what, had just taken place and things like that. It just didn't excite me as much as I wanted it to. And that's, no disrespect towards the talent that was involved. I felt like, exactly like you said, still reeling from what had just taken place and just kind of not feeling like this was necessary, this match, to be on SummerSlam.
No, I'm going to give it 2 3/4 out of 5, only because of Drew.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2.
Wise, we all went Drew, so it's 5-3-3 poll-wise. Drew got 80%. And then the triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ash. And all 3 competitors took to the sky at different points in the contest. Ripley rocked Flair with a missile drop kick. Nikki pulled off a crossbody that wiped out her challenges at ringside. Flair low executed picture perfect Torino from the top rope, crashing into opponents to the floor. Ripley nursing a bum knee, narrowly escaped defeat as the champion broke up Flair's figure 8 submission. The champion tried for the crossbody that won a title in the first place, but crashed and burned. Flair seized the opening, applied the figure 8, and earned title number 12 or 13 or 14 to the resume. This was fun in places. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, overall, I think with the outcome, I kind of figured right there and then, okay, so this is what they want for a Survivor Series. Because look what they just did, putting the belt on Becky. They just want Becky versus Charlotte at Survivor Series. That's exactly how I saw it. And the match itself was good, but I also just don't understand why you made Nikki Ash the Money in the Bank winner. I felt like that was the most pointless sort of Money in the Bank pickup win. I didn't really have much thought on this match because of like overall it just kind of left me angry knowing that this is what they wanted was just Becky and Charlotte again in Survivor Series.
Yeah, this was fun in places, and Charlotte does show up to the big matches, no matter what anybody says. But the problem is she has...
Not disregarding that is just unnecessary when you've got so many talented women just continuously being squashed for that.
And the thing is, like I said, she's great at big matches, but she's had too many big matches. But then again, it's the John Cena effect with the women's division at this point. And like I said, what's next for Nikki? Yeah. I'm still going to give this a 3.5 out of 5, because I quite enjoyed the match.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll definitely give it a 3.5 as well, I think, because the match itself was good and all the women, were able to showcase themselves well. It was an enjoyable match with a really shitty outcome, in my opinion.
That is SummerSlam's logo. Tagline, isn't it? Good match, shitty outcome. Prediction were all Charlotte, 6-4-4 with them. Ripley got 25%, Nikki 33%, and Charlotte with 42%. And now Edge versus Seth Rollins. And how fucking sick was that Brood entrance from Edge, eh?
Oh my gosh, I actually got goosebumps watching him come out with the music and everything.
It was unbelievable when it first happened, and then I'm thinking, but we're not going to get on this day, and then suddenly that kicks in as well, and you go, yes, yeah. I'm in.
I was really happy that you kind of switched it up halfway through. Because then I was like, yeah, okay, Edge has arrived.
Without a doubt, it's just brilliant, you know. But the Architect wasted little time targeting the neck of Edge, working over a good portion of the contest. Edge attempted a comeback, but Rollins leaped to the top rope, delivered a suplex, seized right into the Falcon Arrow for a dramatic near fall. Rollins sought the stomp, but Edge dodged. The heel tried for the pedigree, but Edge countered into the Glam Sam, a la wife of Beth Phoenix, for his own 2 count. I thought that was a really nice touch. The Rated R Superstar added a spear through the ropes and drove Rollins face first to the edge of the ring, breaking the LED board. I'm doing, fingers there. Back inside Edge, tried for the spear, but Rollins caught him in the mid-move with a pedigree in a cool spot. I don't think I've seen a spear into a pedigree since, my God, Money in the Bank 2016? Rollins tried for the Phoenix Splash, but Edge rolled out the way and delivered a spear as disbelief and frustration set in. Edge tried for the stomp again, but Edge stopped him and applied the Educator. He applied a crossface, smashing Rollins' face into the mat before forcing a tap out for the win. What do you think of this incredible?
I mean, it really did not let me down in the slightest. This was the match, like I said, I was most anticipating and looking forward to, and both men just worked so well together. It was just sort of like one of those matches where you really can't take your eyes off the screen because you're just going to miss something.
It was the best thing by a country mile. And when you're watching this, you go, this is what a SummerSlam is. This is what a big WWE should feel like. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree.
And Edge coming back. And like I said, even at the start when it's Edge and Rollins, I'm going, that's pretty cool, actually. You know, like usually on computer games and stuff like you might face them off, but to see him in the ring at an event like SummerSlam. And Rollins is just one of these guys I think we look back in a few years' time and go, wow, he really was good at big events. But Edge coming through. Were you surprised it was a submission rather than a kind of the spear 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I was, to be honest. But I loved that about the match even more, that it ended in a submission, because it's something new, it's something different. You know, we all very much are always looking forward to that moment where Edge gets the spear, gets into contact with him, and then pins him for 1, 2, 3. It's always a hype moment. But to actually change it up and win with a submission, it was creative, and I just thought it was the perfect ending. Both men were so good in this match. Really were kind of felt leaving, like you're questioning who was going to win that match. So I enjoyed every aspect of it.
You're wrapped out. We're going to score that out of 5.
I mean, this was pretty much an awesome match for me. So I'm going to be really nice to give this like a 4.75, 4 and 3.
Yeah, exactly the same as me. 4 3/4. Like I said, if it was for the WWE title or in the main event, this would be a 5 out of 5. Predictions, we all went Edge 7-5-5 at this moment. Poll wise, Edge 67%. And then we find out Money in the Bank will be a stadium show next year. I mean, that's pretty impressive. The same setting as SummerSlam. So it looks like the big 5 potentially could all be stadiums. That can only be a good thing, can't it?
I mean, there's hope there, isn't there? You know, there's a bit of excitement that it's definitely something different and intriguing, which is always good to look forward to, you know. So I'll definitely look forward to what potential could come out of it.
We then get Xavier Woods thankfully cleared the ring of John Morrison and The Miz, bringing an end to a painfully dry comedic segment. This is WWE comedy. And we didn't have time for a long match because obviously we had all this bullshit. But then we get a video package hype and Goldberg managing Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. The camera work for Goldberg's entry, god awful. I usually have a go at other companies, but there was one point where just looking at like a blank screen, you're going, is this WWE we're talking about? Like, I'm not sure what happened. But Goldberg attacked early and often, getting the best of Lashley with spear, and he set up for another in the ring. MVP whacked his knee with his cane. Lashley followed with a chop block, takes out Goldberg into the ring post on the floor as fans in Vegas expressed their support for the Almighty. Unable to stand because of the knee injury, Goldberg collapsed to the mat and the referee called for the bell. Lashley grabbed the chair and attacked the damaged leg of his opponent, and then Goldberg's son Gage jumped in the ring and paid for it in the form of the Hurt Lock. Bobby might well have been wrestling himself here. What were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, I think this is going to be the first time that I'm saying this in a while, that I actually enjoyed this Goldberg match. But I think I enjoyed it more in terms of, Bobby Lashley kind of, it felt like he really was kind of fully wrestling someone, and we're just getting a chance to see like him at his best. Yeah, I thought it was an all right match.
Well, I didn't. This is not Goldberg anymore. This is just an old man landing on his head and dropping things. This is a bullshit finish. This means Goldberg and Lashley will continue with Goldberg probably getting the victory. Goldberg probably getting the victory because of his son getting the...
If we're talking about the finish, yeah, I mean, I wasn't impressed by it at all. I don't understand. I really didn't understand why the ref called it how it is. It's very, very questionable, and everything to do with then like his son kind of getting involved in and that stuff. It just kind of made me realize that they're probably setting this up to kind of feud until their Saudi Arabia show, which I have really no interest in actually seeing anyway. So
no,
I hope it ends there.
This was awful. I'm going to give this a 1 3/4 out of 5. This was I didn't like this.
I'm going to give it a 2 just because of I enjoyed Bobby Lashley beating down on Goldberg before it ended.
Yeah, the best thing was Slam by Bobby was good. What happened after was better. Bobby didn't know, though. Predictions all went Bobby to 8-6-6. Poll-wise, Bobby 69%. Are the cameraman drunk, is what I'm asking. And the Universal Championship match, the main event of SummerSlam. As Michael Cole said, the greatest of now versus the greatest of all time, or some shit like that. To be fair to WWE, great promo video, a big match feel, and cool top and graphics for Cena. And Reigns told Usos to stay back. At this point, you're thinking this is a proper SummerSlam main event. You know, we've had all the build, and at this point, I'm ready for it. You know.
Definitely, I was looking forward to it. The more that like the build up was happening, you had like sort of the background story, and then them coming out. I felt like the build up was there. You could feel like the audience were itching for this. So, yeah, I was intrigued and I'm ready to see what was going to happen.
Well, Reigns dominated early, having an answer to everything his opponent threw him. He repeatedly countered roll-up attempts and answered an attitude adjustment attempt with a DDT. He talked trash, going as far to address Hollywood executives for applying a sleeper that sapped the fight out of Cena. But Reigns trapped him in a guillotine. The challenger attempted a pinfall, but Reigns kicked out and rocked him with a Superman punch. Cena recovered and delivered the attitude adjustment for a heart-pounding 2 count. Cena applied the STF, but Reigns inched to the ropes and forced a break. The challenger caught Reigns at ringside moments later and drove him through the announce table with another attitude adjustment. Back inside, he still couldn't keep the Tribal Chief down for the count. Near falls came fast and furiously down the stretch. Frustration setting in both competitors. Cena dodged a spear and Reigns crashed into the ring post. From the second rope, Cena delivered a third attitude adjustment and again could not keep the head of the table down. One last flurry by Cena proved unsuccessful as Reigns stunned him with consecutive super punches and a spear for the pinfall victory. And after the match, Brock Lesnar made his return, popping the crowd and leaving Reigns and Paul Heyman retreating to the locker room. Before I get your thoughts on this, Michael Cole subtly referenced Lesnar during the match, saying he only have seen one hurt Cena like this. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I actually thought there was some really great moments in that match. I think Roman and John actually worked really well together. Yeah, I kind of spotted the Brock Lesnar reference by Michael Cole, but I didn't actually think he was going to turn up. And I didn't think he was going to turn up looking all like he was like, in Vikings or something like that. He looked like a full-on Viking with that hairdo and stuff like that. I must admit, like I was kind of expecting like more of a confrontation or something that comes from it. It was a bit of a lackluster sort of having him get in the ring and then them just retreat. I don't know. I just maybe expected more after hearing his music hit. So we'll see.
It's almost he got a phone call Saturday morning saying, "Can you make it to Vegas in the evening?" Because we've never ever seen Lesnar without the kind of standard short hair, non-beard on WWE. Because we know when he goes off, he always kind of grows it, and you always see, like, look what Brock Lesnar looks like now, you know, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think John Cena deserves credit because obviously he's a mega star, as you know, and a movie star now, as Pat McAfee mentioned about 60 times during the match. But I think to Reigns to go over on him to keep the spear protected as well, and then after when it went off the air, Lesnar dishing out a beating to John Cena as well with F5s and suplexes. There's not more John Cena could do really. As for Reigns, there was one point during this, the Super AA, the mega near fall. I think it's the closest thing we've come to the Undertaker streak since then, because I think we all believe Reigns won't be beaten. But that point of that second of thinking, shit, this might be it, I think can help Roman Reigns' match continue. But he just needs the right man to kind of beat him. Is Brock Lesnar the right man? I mean, what were your thoughts?
I mean, you know, I feel like this does kind of put a little bit of a damper on me hoping that we'd get like sort of Roman Reigns versus Big E, because when you think of, you know, a Brock return, you do kind of think to yourself, well, he's not returning to not be champion, you know. So there's always that expectation that if Brock's returned, there's expectation that he's going to be holding the belt for a bit. I don't know if I'm ready to see like Roman v Brock. And Brock actually successfully take the belt off him. We'll see what's going to happen, because as we know already, Brock didn't turn up on SmackDown, so we're not sure like where things are going to go yet. As of yet, I'm keeping an open mind.
The worst case scenario for me here is Brock versus Reigns, either at Crown Jewel survives, maybe not Survivor Series, but Crown Jewel or whatever the October event will be in Saudi Arabia, having Heyman betray Reigns, siding with Lesnar, and then having Hill Lesnar as champion versus Reigns as face, and you destroy all the good work done since Reigns came back the previous SummerSlam, you know?
Yeah, that is the worry. And if I was to be asked what I would prefer, I prefer someone else other than Roman Reigns to be the one that ends, like, you know, sort of the Tribal Chiefs run. So I don't know where things are going to go with this because of that. Because, you know, you kind of look at this as two heels.
This is the thing. It's strange, you know. I know you got a positive reaction, but you think these two wrestling, the crowd's not going to react great to it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the thing is, if you're, I mean, for years, you know, SmackDown was the kind of the B show and everything like this, and now SummerSlam comes around, and you've got the Man and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns and all these Edge and Rollins all on SmackDown. And what have you got on Raw? Charlotte is champion and Bobby is champion. You know, there's no challenges there. There's nothing exciting to get your teeth sunk into, is there?
But I must admit, the only way that I feel like they'd be able to salvage this sort of like Roman versus Brock match, if it were to happen, is if Big E interrupts the match and does like a Seth Rollins and actually takes the title. Like, that's the only way that I could actually see this kind of going, like, in a good way, because I don't know if any, like, I think everyone obviously wants to see Roman versus Brock, but I don't think any of them wants to see a title change come from that, because of everything that has happened with Roman across like SmackDown and the build up of his title reign. I don't think that there'll be any satisfaction if a face isn't the one that's taking the belt.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Right, so the match itself, for me, it's 5 out of 5. What are you going to score?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 too.
Prediction-wise, we all went Reigns, so the final score's 9-7-7. Monty and James win. But Select Match Pod did say Lesnar return, and they do get a bonus point. So I'm sorry to say the final score's JR Monty 9, Select Match Pod 8, and Jaxie with the Ultimate One 7. But you know, one doesn't watch WWE stuff, so that no.
Wait, no, don't do that, because then that makes me look really bad.
Well, Monty was riding my coattails. I don't care if he listens to this. He knows. I'm joking. Monty.
Well, let's just say that SummerSlam didn't go exactly the way that we all expected. So that's the reason for my downfall. But don't worry, I will try and triumph in the next.
Well, poll-wise, Reigns got 62% of the vote. Match of the night, I think we'll both say it's the main event. MVP of the night, I'm going to say Cena. I mentioned this earlier. Let Reigns beat him and Brock squashed it. Have you got an MVP of the night?
I'm actually going to say Edge for my MVP because of that finish, made the submission and stuff. I think it was just really well executed, and yeah, I really enjoyed his performance. I thought it was quite standout-ish. So yeah, Edge.
Well, a score out of 10, and this is my lowest scoring WWE event, possibly of all time. No, well, apart from Crown Jewels, of course, and Saudi Arabia events. I'm going to give it an 8. There was massive highs. You know, look at the main event and what it delivered there. Edge and Rollins was the perfect SummerSlam match as well. But the highs didn't make up for the huge lows. And we saw that with, you know, Goldberg and Lashley, you know, 1 3/4, Blair Lynch 1, even Bliss and Marie 2, even Mcadam Mahal. There was just too much filler on the SummerSlam card. What are you going to score out of 10?
Yeah, I'm a little bit harsher than you, but all for the reasons that you just said above. So I'm going to score it a 7. And a lot of that downfall is predominantly surrounding sort of the way the title change went. Don't get me wrong, I would have been super hyped to have had a Becky return, but not the way that they did it. So it took it down even more for me.
I think without a doubt, SummerSlam was quite shocking in certain ways. We'll deal with the fallout now. We've got Raw and SmackDown. So the 23rd August edition, we get recaps video for SummerSlam. Bobby Lashley, MVP, come out. MVP reiterated how he had no idea it was Gage Goldberg who jumped him from behind. Said he would do the same thing to anyone who tried the same thing. Surprisingly, Damien Priest came to the ring. This led to a single match which ended in DQ. When Sheamus got involved, Drew McIntyre made a save which led to a tag team match which the faces won. Not a bad half hour of action. Bit weird to see Lashley and Drew interacting again. And we got good news, bad news for Doudrop. She likes the name, but she has split from Eve who attacked her. So I suppose, you know, 50-50. Karen Cross in a new red helmet. He crushed Ricochet. Also, Cross is wearing braces as well. Yeah. Moist TV lead to Woods versus Morrison. Morrison inadvertently distracted the ref and cost The Miz the pin, allowing Woods to roll him up for the win. The Miz attacked Morrison and left him laid out to the end of the segment. So finally, The Miz attacking Morrison. That's got to bleed to something good, isn't it?
I mean, I'm hoping so, but I'm kind of feeling like, you know, this is way overdue. This is something that a lot of us, I think, we're waiting to see. I'm ready for a Morrison singles run, you know? I think everyone was expecting that when he first returned. So, you know, I'm nothing but excited just to kind of see this kind of get over and done with between the Miz.
I think without doubt, Mansoor versus Mahal ended in DQ. Ali told Mansoor he needs to start listening to him if he wants to avoid this kind of thing in the future. Charlotte Beach, blah, blah, blah. Bliss made her intentions known, so it looks like we're going to get Alexa Bliss versus Charlotte. We get Ripley and Nikki Ash versus Baz and Jax. Yes, they're back together again. Riptide to Baz to get the win. All looks like they're in trouble again. Elias, the WWE superstar, is coming with a white hat. And the main event, Riddle beat AJ Styles. And then on to SmackDown, August 27th. We see Becky Lynch make her first appearance since SummerSlam during a huge ovation. She said hand over the Raw Women's title was the hardest thing she had to do. If you thought I was bad before when I was just fighting for myself, you have no idea how deadly I'm about to be. Lynch apologised for nothing, saying preparedness met opportunity when she beat Belair for the title. This brought out the EST to an equally strong reaction. Blair says she won't make excuses for issuing a last-minute challenge, just like Lynch for tonight's show. But before the man could answer, Vega interrupted, then Carmella. Eventually, Liv Morgan joined the fray, rightfully pointing out Vega and Carmella lose every week. This led to a four-way with Belair eliminate Vega, Morgan taking out Carmella, and Bianca finally winning and will face Lynch at some point. What was this about? Because it's even like Belair, they're treating her less than. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I feel like I'm going to talk a lot more on this after, you know, you kind of go through a bit more of SmackDown, because there's something else that irritated me that could have actually worked well in at this moment in time. And I just didn't see the point of any of this, if I'm truly honest. But I'll go into greater detail once you kind of go through a bit more of what happened.
Well, backstage, Paul Heyman found himself locked out of Roman Reigns' locker room when the Usos emerged by mistake and confronted him. They accused him of knowing Brock Lesnar would be at SummerSlam and shut him out. Cesaro versus Gable. Alpha Academy laid out the Swiss Cyborg and stood tall to close out the segment. Do you remember when Cesaro had a match of the night at WrestleMania? Right? Fucking, and that was learning, wasn't it? Don't be talented.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Do you remember that? That was like his, peak moment. And then what was it?
And then they fed him to Roman.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin, fresh of a life-changing string of success in Vegas, returned to SmackDown. Happy Corbin. He touted his riches, his wardrobe, and an expensive watch before calling Big E. He asked to purchase a Money Bank briefcase, had his offers rebuffed. And Corbin said he's too happy, and Corbin exited the square circle, left the arena. Be very worried, Cameron Grimes. They have taken your gimmick. All right, he's after you. And then we see Edge spoke of his SummerSlam victory over Seth Rollins. The Architect responded, thanking the Rated R superstar for teaching him he must be more like Edge to get ahead. Can you imagine Extreme Rules and Seth coming out as a Shield? How great would that be?
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Through the crowd. It would just be something else. Boogs and Nakamura defeated Ziggler and Rude. And backstage, Naomi made a SmackDown return, but official Sonya Deville appeared disinterested and said they would discuss it next week.
Right, okay. So can I go back into what we were discussing earlier? Right, this pissed me off so much. Firstly, how disrespectful was Sonya Deville? When she didn't even need to be? That to me just didn't work, and I actually just thought to myself, I hope this means that you're coming back to wrestling soon so that Naomi can kick your ass, because you're just pissing me off. Yeah. Secondly, if you're going to have Naomi return on SmackDown, why the hell did she not interrupt everyone, all those women that are definitely getting squashed week after week, where none of us actually believe that none of them are a true, at this moment in time, are a true opponent for Becky Lynch? Why did Naomi not come out and actually make herself known and actually make Becky a little bit scared? She is a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion. She has got so much to offer. She's so underrated. She is the underdog. And she's married to one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, who's also the cousin of the Universal title holder, Roman Reigns. Get her in that faction and actually start bigging her up. I don't understand where the issue is here. WWE, if you need to talk to me about how to get this all into an actual storyline, call me, because seriously, you had so much momentum to do something with that girl and get that pop. You heard that pop that she got when she returned at Royal Rumble. Is that, Vince, are you deaf? Did you not hear that pop? What's wrong with you? Sorry, my rant is over.
No, but the thing is if Naomi made his entrance even part of the Bloodline or by herself and challenged Bliss to a one-on-one match for number one contendership, and you could even have Lynch at ringside being heel, costing Blair the opportunity with Naomi getting a win. We get a Naomi Lynch match for the title. We get continuation of Blair Lynch, and then you can do Blair Naomi down the line as well. You can either do one or Raw. You can have her coming out, like I said, being a part of that match, or Roman Reigns saying, because I'm head of the table, she deserves a title opportunity. So there's ways, rather than Deville, Deville
just
disinterest
completely
is the worst.
Disrespect. Yeah. And there is absolutely no reason why there's any need for the disrespect unless they're actually thinking about bringing Sonya back as a wrestler, which if they were going to do, they would have probably started in a different way. So I have no idea why there was any need to just kind of show it disrespectful. Like, that should have been a pop that someone like Naomi has returned, especially like I just said, the pop she got at Royal Rumble. Why not just have her music hit and she just returned that way instead of being disrespected by Sonya? It just made no sense to me. Down.
So, elsewhere, Rey Mysterio told Son Dominic that he'd be stepping back to let him be his own man, starting with his match against a mystery opponent. Sami Zayn would be revealed as that. Dom lost, but Rey still came out to the ring. Main event segment, Roman Reigns, Usos and Paul Heyman made to the ring for a special championship celebration. After a few minutes of Heyman speaking on behalf of the Tribal Chief, Finn Balor interrupted proceedings, frustrated at being screwed out of his championship opportunity by John Cena and with the return of Brock Lesnar. trust anyone. He challenged Reigns for a top match on next week's show on SmackDown. He took a shot at Reigns for the Street Profits hit the ring and back him up. The babyface is just tall. A disdained Reigns heading to the locker room to close out the show. Again, Balor looks really, really cool, but you know he's just setting him up for a loss. But the Street Profits getting involved, they're a step up. No offense to Dom and Ray, but I'd much rather see Street Profits Uso feud than anything else right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that whole ending was quite exciting and everything like that, and it's always exciting to see Street Profits kind of go up against the Usos. I'd like to see that again, but it's not like we haven't seen it before. I'm just thinking they need to kind of get better at like inserting other tag teams into the division and getting them hyped up, so it's not just a constant repetitive swap and change of, you know, the tag partners every now and again. But yeah, this definitely excited me to see where things are going to go. But unfortunately, I don't see where this is going to go for Finn Balor again. I just think this is definitely filler before getting into the Brock Lesnar stuff.
Yeah, I think we're without doubt. We were waiting for a response from, I guess, after SummerSlam, and I don't think we've really had it. It'd be interesting to see, like I said, with the Saudi Arabia stuff coming up until November. But the thing, which is weird, I'm going to say, and I've never ever mentioned before, but AEW is building momentum. And with the momentum that they've got, it's only a good thing. And Raw needs to be good it just needs to make sense. SmackDown's not too bad, but WWE just can't stand around thinking, oh, we'll bring this guy back, when you're not kind of building new talent, you know? Like, talk about Nakamura's obviously title reign. We don't want him to lose it and just go back to mediocrity. Big E, you know, we need to push him. People like Cesaro still need a chance, you know? So it's
exactly.
It's
all these underdogs, like, you know. Then even on the women's division, you've got the likes of, like you rightly said, Nikki Cross, who could have definitely had like a creative title run with having this sort of split personality between Nikki Ash and then Nikki Cross. You could have had so much more hype and potential behind Naomi's return, and yet it was the most uncreative. Yet you had the likes of Becky return in a creative way that squashed someone else. You know, like, get better at your returns. Get back better at those returns. Actually, get like having a storyline and a pop to keep the crowd interested. If you don't get better at that, then you'll continuously lose that. The fans will continuously lose doubt.
Yeah, and again, it's sometimes it's hard, you know, especially trying to watch WWE stuff, because it gets you excited, but it just kind of lets you down in certain ways. And I don't know what it is. There's been a number of problems at this moment in time. But that is it now for SummerSlam. If it makes you feel any better, we will not be looking at we're not looking at WWE now until the end of September. I think Extreme Rules are like the 26th of September. So at least you've got a while off now. You know?
Yeah, got a well-deserved break.
Well-deserved break. But like I said, still a lot to come on the WNR. But that is it for today. Don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Where can people find you, Jaxie?
Yeah, people can find me across both Twitter and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Well, you can find her there. You can find the WNR on Facebook, of course, the WNR Podcast. We've got the charity there. Like I said, we have raised the goal, and any more money. I mean, I could be completely clean-shaven by all this. And again, take that as a challenge, if you will, anybody listening. Across all the good platforms, send us an email to WNRPodcast@gmail.com, and YouTube and the podcast got the same time they do on SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode of WNR is Impact with the Ultimate One. Our next one with Jaxie will be AEW Prelude, where hopefully you of Dynamite All Out. But until then, I've been James Rollins, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for listening, and bye.